So let's decide what hope can be. And the truth of that is that love accepts hope for the future, because we take what we know, we understand what is true about what we know, and we decide that in some form or fashion the future can exist. That is a very necessary thing. If you don't believe the future exists, if you don't believe the future is worth living, you get depressed and suicidal. You must believe hope is true. So, in order to do that, we as living human beings must accept the fact that we are alive, and we must accept the fact that we are miracles, and we must accept the fact that there is an eternity waiting for us. Because there is. Not because I say there is, because the evidence of miracles proves that we are not alone in this universe. It's not just human beings that exist. There's more. And of course, we did not create ourselves. That's a fact. We did not. We did not, chaos did not create us one piece at a time. That absolutely cannot be true. We did not, none of it is true as far as the university goes. But the end result of it is that we are built to understand that thought is required of us. We have to have thought to understand we exist. We have to have thought to understand that there is love in the world. We have to have thought to understand anything, freedom, choice, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. We have to have thought to achieve hope. And without hope, there are problems. So, of course, the human animal does not rely upon hope. They might pay the insurance claim of religions as, I better give them a little money just in case. But of course, that will not, it will not help you. That's not what eternity is. Eternity is only truth survives. That's what eternity is. Only truth survives. Therefore, if thought can be a truth, and thought is a truth, then it can survive. If force is a truth, then force exists, and that means that force will survive. Hate, of course, is death, and there is an end to death at some point. But it's also a war, because hate, instead of, the animal wants what it wants, that it was once, or it doesn't want that, one or the other, and it constantly screams more, more, more. That's what animals do. That's the purpose or the hope of an animal is more, 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 because let's go shopping, more. And then of course it surrounds you with trash, so you throw it all away. So and that means you throw your future away, you throw your children away, you throw your world away. But hate, on the other side of that, is death, and death wants revenge. You can't kill me without me killing you. I'm going to kill you. You are the enemy. You are, all of that. So there are only three basic elements to human life, and we have to choose accordingly. I prefer hope, because hope is a value, and nothing else really is. So convincing you that there is an eternity is not my job. Jesus is the foundation of that hope, and of course that means that people decide for or against him. And that doesn't have anything to do with the Jewish nation or the Jewish religion. They killed him. They're not involved in Christianity. And it is a lie for them to come and say, pay us, pay us, pay us, pay us, or whatever it is that they do to get your money. Doesn't matter, because we're not connected. Except for the fact that Jesus was human, and he come from there, that group. But so what? The fact that well, let's just leave it at that. So we have to have hope, and so we have to look at the reality of what is true for our existence. And our existence says that this is a finite planet, that we are too many people to survive, that we must have population control or there is no future, and we must remove all these threats that will become our extinction if we do not. That's what our reality is. And the end result of that is that, air conditioning has to die, because for every BTU of heat that you remove from your house with an air conditioner, you have to create about 6 BTUs that you release into the environment. So, 1 to 6 isn't a good efficiency. That's just how it is. And you can say, well, that can't be so, but it can be so. Because unlike the claim that electrical vehicles don't pollute, they pollute tremendously. Because the end result is that you don't get electricity without creating electricity. And you don't create electricity from thin air. You can say that there are solar panels and wind generators, and that's doing the job for us. But the end result is if you have to have more electricity than they create, then whatever it is that you've added to the electrical consumption requires the least efficient method of generating electricity, and you end up with 1 in 6 or more. So air conditioning has to go. All of the drive miles that you drive has to go. It was that there was a store every little bit, and there was a market every little bit, and there was community in every little place. Rural community identified that especially well. And the end result of that, of course, is that so that people could just go a little ways and get their supplies, and that was that. But the entire United States is built on 1940s, 1950s era thinking. We have a road. With that road, we can escape the people who are charging us too much for this, and we'll just go down the road 50 miles or 100 miles or whatever it is and buy it there. And so they built entire society. This entire United States is built on the idea that we'll drive. And of course that means that all the small places that people could walk to were dissolved into dust, and all of the lives and all of the things that you need are solidified into a tiny little bitty circle of these people control all of it. And that, of course, is never good, because the end result is that, in small rural populations that were 100 years ago and more, it was just one tiny few little people controlled everything. And the end result of that was they made the others slaves, nearly always. So we are focused on, the university has created a situation that is focusing on we have to be slaves, all of us, because there's only a few people who have all the resources and who have anything that we need to survive, and without survival, we die. So we have to remove them. We have to take away all the cars and all the roads that were used to create a society that cannot sustain itself. With all the vehicles, take a look on the road. With all the vehicles that are moving around, we can't survive. We can't survive the loss of resources. And that means that in actual fact, if we take away all the trash that people buy and all the excuses and all the everything that people do that would be irrelevant or wrong, and especially the things that the university does that are particularly wrong, we end up with a world that has about 70% unemployment. That's our reality. That's our truth. And you say, well, there's no hope in that. But the end result is there has to be hope in that. There has to be. So we have to deal with the reality of what we are able to do. And we are able to share the work. But we are only able to share the work if we educate each other on how to do the work. That means we have to care about you and me. And that, of course, is the absolute difference between what has been, which is I want it all. I want everything. Give me it all. And the reality of, too much competition ruins everything for everybody. So the end result of that is we have to change how everything on this in this nation or in this world works as far as humanity goes. And to do that, we have to understand that that the choice is not anything and everything and all that you could possibly want to destroy the rest and take it all for yourself and all the things that are hate formed, and remove that and create what is life formed. And that means that we have to have different forms of money. In other words, we all need food. So the first part of money has to be for food, so that, and same for all. It's not rationing, it's food. So if you want to use your food money, it's just for food kind of thing, so that we all share. Then this is what you get, and if you want to trade it to somebody else, you can. But the end result is it depends on how much food is available. And with a extremely burgeoning population, we're going to starve. We can't survive the things that we do. We can't survive the things that have been done. We can't survive the population growth. We can't. It's not going to happen. It's a finite planet. There's a limit to everything. There's a limit to the water. There's a limit to everything. A limit. In other words, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much what you have, no matter how many weapons you have, there is a limit to what you can have. And if we don't accept that fact, and if we don't adjust our living to that fact, and if we don't do what we can do, we will simply end up in war, and weapons of mass destruction will be used because, kill 1 billion people, that's 1 in 8 of us. So there's 7 more after 1 billion are dead, plus with another 100 million or so added to that population every year. If you don't accept that, weapons of mass destruction will be used. And not only weapons of mass destruction being nuclear, not only chemical weapons released in your cities will be used, and biological weapons will be thrown into society to kill you. And of course, the end result of all that is hell and extinction, because that's what you did. And so, even just a tiny few can cause all of those weapons of mass destruction to be used. Which means that we cannot let them be leaders anymore. We cannot let them have these things in their possession. We cannot let them be what they want to be with hate. We have to change that. And the only way we can change that is to create the law of our world, or our nation, for ourselves, so that every soldier has a clear understanding of what the law of what he is expected to do or she is expected to do exists. Not their leader, not their gun, or not their, all of us decide on what is in fact fair and justified. All of us share the wealth, or share what we have to do, and all of us benefit or have to accept the fact that this is terrible and we did it to ourselves. But the end result of that, of course, is that you can't control the people who are doing bad things, and there's always people doing bad things. There's a thief behind every damn door. There just is. Liars abound, and so on. And that's why friends aren't so abundant, because there's so many that are not friendly. But that's a whole different thing. Anyway, we have to accept the fact that small nations are more manageable than large nations. Wherever there is power, there will be hate concentrated at the leadership of that power. Doesn't matter whether it's banking or medicine or government or media or whatever. Wherever the power is where pride and power congregate. That's just the facts of life. So we have to remove the leadership with law. That's the fact. We have to remove the leadership with law that we create for ourselves, that we feel is justified, that we feel is of value to our existence, we feel will keep the future alive for every child. We can't do it without law. The law is our friend. But we have to enforce it. If you don't enforce it, you don't have a law. And I don't mean rules. Rules are the things that are used to stomp on individuals. Laws are the things we all decide to control all of us. Same leader, poverty, whatever it is, same. And if we all know what that law is, then we can, defend it for ourselves. But we have to have laws that we all understand. And we have to have only the amount of law that we actually all understand, we know, we can memorize, which means it has to be 100 or so small individual one-page laws so that you can understand them and know what they are, or you get stomped on by the people who want power over you.